One of the issues that myself and many others have ran into with the Canon R8 is trying to find options for triggering remote recording. Now there's quite a few options that are available. First thing I was using was this top handle, and I'd mounted the SmallRig Bluetooth remote on it. That works fine, and if you operate with a top handle, that will be okay for most purposes. The only issue is it's not flush with the top handle itself, so you kind of have to reach up and over. You could mount it further up as well, depending on where your thumb sits, but that's not an ideal solution. Now there is top handles with the remote button incorporated into it, so you could use that instead of this setup, but this was just something I had to hand and I had been using for a while. However, recently I started using this side handle with a built-in record trigger that you can see up there. And as you can see, that button there triggers recording. And also obviously stop recording as well. Now, the way in which this works is a cable is run from the side handle. At this point it's USB-C, and it runs across to here into what appears to be a 2.5mm TRRS jack. Now, there is actually a remote port on the side of the R8, and this is what allows it to connect to that. The cable is listed in the description of both this side handle and SmallRig and many other sites as the Panasonic cable. There is no listing on the pages for Canon support. However, it does still work with the camera. One thing I will say is this is only relevant to the R8. There are some other cameras that will use this port, but I can only speak to the R8. There's the R50, for example, and it doesn't have that remote port on it. So just make sure that if you are planning on investing in something like this, that your camera does have the relevant remote port, because I believe some of them, for example, are now using USB-C, like the R5C. Just make sure that it has it. The R8 definitely does, and it is compatible with this and a number of other top handles and side handles from other brands that use this Panasonic type connection cable. One of the main issues I have with the SmallRig side handle is it doesn't actually have any mounting points for you to put a hand strap on. That's something I really like, and it really helps with stability and usability of it, and also balancing the camera. Not having that is a bit of a loss. It does have a little built-in Allen key here as well, which is quite handy for rigging stuff up, but the RE Rosette setup I've used doesn't actually use this size of Allen key. I'm using something else, but yeah, definitely something to look into. It is a very nice grip, and the recording works flawlessly. I did contact SmallRig directly to ask whether or not there would be any options to mount a hand strap to this, but they said there isn't any, and unfortunately they're not planning to add anything in the future to fix that.